three words, come and dine, in these words, the believer is invited to a holy nearness to God. Now, notice, not just nearness, a holy nearness to God. Remember, the writer of Hebrews says, draw nigh, James, draw nigh unto God, and he will draw nigh unto you. But now also, this come and dine was to set up a situation where God can take you into a certain relationship with him so you can begin to know how he loves you and how you are to love him, and to bring into remembrance the things that he had already done. That knowing this, that what you're trying to get, God has already made and prepared. That's, to me, is outstanding. Because sometimes we think that God has to go and make up stuff, but everything that you need is already prepared for you. And it will become a greater experience as we draw nigh unto God. So in these words, come and dine, the believer is invited to a holy nearness. It is being brought into the banqueting house where waves, and I said this before, the banner of redeeming love. Turn with me now to Solomon, Song of Solomon. We don't preach much from Song of Solomon. Probably most of you don't even read too much of the Song of Solomon. We don't have many markings and reds and yellows and greens and pinks in Song of Solomon. Because nobody never really took time to tell us what this whole writing is all about. Now, let me kind of help you a little bit, because this is what we call Hebrew poetry. Hebrew poetry is a different kind of poetry. It doesn't rhyme. It's not to rhyme. It is symbolisms that you have to learn to interpret the symbols so you can make a proper application of what God is talking about. Now, two things we're going to understand here, because he's going to talk about a love relationship. I'm bringing you into the banqueting house because, notice, it's the banqueting house. Now, most of us have been to banquets. What do you normally find when you have been invited to a banquet? What? Food. And you expecting a good time too, aren't you? Oh, man, this is a banquet. And not only are you expecting food, you expecting a whole lot of food. If you read the Bible very carefully, God is really saying to you, it's really a time for us to learn how to feast with him. He has prepared the table before us in the very presence of our enemies. He wants us to feast, because part of this concept of come and dine is being brought into the banqueting house, where waves over us this banner of Jehovah Nissi, saying that my banner over you is love. I want to present to the whole universe that you are the one that I love more than anything. In fact, we're going to look at a verse, if God permits. God says, I delight where I can be with the sons of men. Jesus Christ came into the world, and he is most thrilled when he can be with you and you can be with him. Now, in this Hebrew poetry, we got to understand her name. Solomon is Hebrew, or Solomon, really means peace. Now, notice here, too, God used men in the Old Testament, and most of them had biblical names so that these people can be interpreted as a shadow or a type of Christ. So I'm going to call Solomon here in this concept I'm going to call him the Jesus Christ, the heavenly Solomon. Can anybody handle that? Because Solomon means peace, and the real peace is in Jesus Christ. But Jesus Christ right now is seated at the right hand of God in the heavenly, but his spirit is here for us to have a relationship with you. So therefore, we can take this concept of Solomon and call him then Jesus Christ. Now, look at Song of Solomon chapter 2. Let's look at verse 1 and 2. Let's go back and see how we are identifying who Solomon is really saying, I represent. I was named after another one that was coming. That's in the sign that was really his brother, because Jesus was also in the son of David. Well, who was Solomon? The son of David. But also, so he's telling us about this man Solomon, but this man Solomon is telling us in Hebrew poetry about another piece, a greater piece, a piece that is unspeakable and understand, and you can't even search it out, and it's almost as like it's you can't even understand it. Have you ever been in a situation where you had peace and you don't even know why you had the peace, and people looking at you like, man, why are you so calm? And you be wondering, I didn't even know I was calm. Am I calm? You see? And so he identifies himself. Now watch in chapter 2, verse 1, how he identifies it. Says, he uses the word Hebrew there, ani. Ani is a Hebrew word, meaning then, I am and only I am this. It's the same concept of ego eime in the Greek language. So he says, I am. Now watch what he says. Now watch how Solomon is typing himself as Jesus Christ in a relationship to a female object. And I'll leave it at that right now. Well, no, let me help you out. Because, see, that female object is you. That female object is the church of Jesus Christ. The female object here is then the called out people. And really here, it was, notice it, and it's not just a call per se, it is the few. Many are called, but few are what? It is the call, but those that were the few that made themselves known as the call, that made them the chosen ones. See, everybody that's called don't become the chosen ones. Oh, you guys ain't listening to me. You got to make yourself the chosen one. Are you following what I'm saying? In other words, you got to respond to the call in trust. And if you don't respond to the call in trust, you're not the chosen one. Can everybody handle that? The called out few, the called out and chosen one are going to be few. But the call went out to the whole universe. So you got to understand the reality of redemption is not that God saved you per se. It is God saved the world. God so loved the world, but everybody in the world don't realize that they got to love him. In fact, most of them hate him more than what? Love him. So he's talking then to this spiritual church at this time, and it's still a spiritual church, and he says, I want to identify who this piece is. And he says, I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valley. As the lily among thorns, so is my love. As the lily among thorns. And the church is also among thorns. But as then among thorns, he says, so is my love among my daughters.
We invite you to join us for General Church Service Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock a.m. or for one of our weekly Bible studies. Agape Christian Fellowship is located at 12700 South Main Street in Los Angeles. For more information, visit us online at www.acts.tv.